Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.
Thank you and welcome to Female Filmmakers Fuse. I'm your host, Alexa Polar, and I have here with me
Robin Pabello. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Robin is a little bit under the weather.
I'm perfectly fine. It's sinus weather.
Sinus weather. That's the name of the weather. Anyhow, this is LA Talk Radio. That's where you can find us when you want to listen to us live. The number to call in is 818-602-4929. That's 818-602-4929. You can also find us on the app, LA Talk Radio app. There's a lot of great shows here, a lot of good content. It's free to download. Anyhow, later on soon you'll be finding us on iTunes, Google Play, and all that. It's currently being updated, so you'll find the new shows on there. And every Tuesday, the shows that we do live on Sunday goes on Tuesday on our YouTube page channel. You can search it under Female Filmmakers Fuse Podcast. It's easy to share on your social media. That's why we have it there. Today, our special guest is from, she's currently in Boston. Her name is Maria Servellón. Maria? Hi, Maria, you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Can you repeat your last name just in case I didn't say correctly?
It was not bad, actually. It's Servellón, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So, Maria, you're in Boston, correct, currently? And I mean, that's where you're from.
Yeah.
Or not, well, you know, that's where you're currently, I can't even talk right now.
That's where you reside?
That's where you reside. Thank you. Because I know you're Latina. No, you have a Latin background. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. So I'm born and raised in Boston, and I am of Salvadorian heritage. So, yeah.
Nice. Very nice. I'm from Peru. I know El Salvador is not. I know a few people from there. Very nice. I always wanted to go there. I've never been on my bucket list for sure. Have you gone there to see family, meet family? If you haven't gone?
Yeah, I've gone just about every year. So it's really wonderful with awesome beaches. So definitely recommend it.
It's pretty awesome. So is it both parents or one parent? Like, what's the breakdown?
Both parents, yeah. They immigrated to the U.S. back in, like, the 80s and late 70s. So they've been here for quite a while, too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And before we get into your film, Hyphen, why don't you tell us a little bit on how you got into filmmaking?
Sure. So I've always just kind of tinkered with items that my dad would, like, give me throughout my childhood to look at, like, old computers and cassette players. And I think that right about, like, when I had my quinceañera, which is, like, a sweet 15 party for Latinos, so for that, he gave me a camera. It was, like, a Sony Handycam. And I guess the rest is history. I started off with, like, creating, like, these kind of vlogs right before YouTube started in 2005 and 6. And so, yeah, I would just film my daily life and film interesting things and, like, portraits around the city and things like that. And so afterwards, I was in college doing psychology, but I felt like it was not really making me feel, like, happy as creative works that I've done before were making me in the past, like writing and drawing and painting and doing my little vlogs. And so then afterwards, I switched over to my major when I got the opportunity to make take my arts requirement in art, in like actual like studio art. And I switched over to my major. I worked still in the arts in Boston and things like that for the next 3 years. And then finally I was like, I want to make movies and I want to do what people are doing to create stories and show them to people. And I ended up going to Emerson College and got my MFA in film and media art, and now here I am.
Very nice. I've never been to Boston. It's definitely one of the places I'd like to go to, visiting. I want to go to every state, obviously. But that's really one of the places I aspire to go in the near future. I bet you can get a lot of creativity from there, because I don't know what Boston is like. I've been to New York, so you get that the theater vibe, the art vibe there. Is it kind of like similar to how it is? Like, is it like that in Boston as well?
I would say that in Boston, like the documentary scene is definitely prevalent. Fiction filmmaking, it's like a hit or miss. Mm-hmm. But the good thing is that there's like a lot of there's a lot of schools here, and students that are, because it's surrounded by colleges and universities, people are always making work, whether it's filmmaking from Emerson and BU and Mass Art, like people needing people for their crews, and actors, them needing different kinds of people. Musicians at Berklee College of Music, like creating music and wanting music videos, and people from the School of the Museum of Fine Arts and Mass Art creating like video installations and animation and things like that. So the need is always prevalent, even if it's not like New York or LA. Mm-hmm. There's still like specific roles that are available for people, and I would say that's kind of how there's less competition, I would say, to create your own work, and somehow, some way, you could still find grants and things like that here. So there's less things happening in filmmaking in general, mm-hmm. I'm sure, as compared to New York and LA, but there is less competition in creating really cool stuff that could end up showing you that way towards those other states.
Okay, yeah, because that's what leads me to my next question, because I know like Georgia has a huge tax credit and rebate, and I don't know if they offer grants, but I know that their tax rebate and credit is huge, and that's why a lot of people go there to film. I know recently, because of political reasons, a lot of actors, huge actors, have declined to work there, and that might end up not working in their favor. That's what I was going to ask. Is Boston the same? Do you know if they offer like a tax credit or rebate?
Yeah, there's like a payroll credit. I think that it's if you spend more than $50,000 in making a film in Massachusetts, mm-hmm. There is a sort of tax incentive, and it's always at risk, and that's like kind of like the downside, where like sometimes certain people will be like, it's not really that necessary, is it? And there's the film community here is pretty ardent about their filmmaking, and so it's definitely stayed here for as long as it has, because of the filmmakers and artists that are working here and are really have stepped into the roles of activists as well, and showing that the state, it's really important that even though we're not like an official film state, mm-hmm. but we're still here, and we still exist. And I think that a lot of other films, a lot of New York crews, come here to shoot things, and from other states and other countries. So it's definitely, it's moving because of the local filmmakers that have been really pushing for it.
It's really cool. 'Cause I'm always looking what other states offer, because sometimes it'll help with some things that I write, or some things that even if it's not written directly to involve that state in particular, or any state in particular, mm-hmm. there might be areas that help. For example, if I can't go to another country to capture something, your state might offer something that's similar. And so that might benefit the film, that's what
right.
I'm always looking for. For example, in California, there's different sections of California where it can look like Mexico for obvious reasons. And then if you go to Santa Barbara, a lot of it looks like Spain, because that's where a lot of the Spaniards went and whatnot. And so it's all derived from Spain. So if you film things in that area and you can't go all the way to Spain, you can go to Santa Barbara, Santa Maria. A lot of it is kind of depicted like Spain. And that's why, that's just an example. You know, there's certain areas like, you don't have to go to Iraq, for example. You can film in areas where it's kind of like deserted and kind of looks similar to it. And so that's why I asked that.
Well, what's weird is that everyone thinks that, you know, when they think of Iraq or Iran, they think that, you know, it's desert, flat. And
no,
it's
I know
actually,
that.
Right, but for our listeners,
right,
if they're not familiar with it, that's why, like, California is very versatile in that sense of, like, you have the mountain ranges, you have the beach, you also have the desert, so you have a wide variety. I think the only thing we don't have is, like, the luscious forests. Yeah, you know, so
we don't.
No, I mean,
like
maybe
northern.
Yeah, but it's very distinct because of the redwoods, or
That's
it's
true.
like kind of like Joshua Tree. Like, you see a Joshua Tree, everyone's like, oh, filmed in California.
Right.
So if you're trying to, you know, substitute for a different country or different state, like, you can do that as well.
That's why I asked, is there certain parts of Massachusetts that you can tell us that can resemble another area or could be used for something else? Because I know usually, like what Robin was saying, like, we only think of one thing with certain states or countries. Of course, when I think of Boston, I'm going to think of, because of Rocky, I'm going to think of, oh no, that's a different, sorry, I went somewhere else with that. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking I went Rocky, but I was thinking of Matt Damon, you know, Goodwill Hunting.
Things like The Departed, Mystic River, what is it, things related to, like, Whitey Bulger and things like that. Yeah, Boston definitely has a very distinct, like, neighborhood kind of, like, as soon as you see it in a film, it's like, yep, this is going to be taking place in Boston.
For sure.
Especially, like, South Boston, East Boston, and all of those, like, areas where generations of families have been here for ages.
Yeah.
And many people have, you know, there's certain areas that are a little more industrial and try to make it look like it's New York-ish.
Yeah.
But middle Massachusetts, there's different areas that, you know, end up, like, have bigger, like, fields and foresty areas that can easily resemble, like, you know, parts of, like, Canada or Virginia. So I don't know how convincing we are if we were to, like, pretend it's, like, California or the South. Probably not by much, but so we have like little cheats here that work great for people that are trying to not leave the state, or their budget is just so low, so they just kind of
I mean, you just
research and try to find different places.
Exactly, or you just shoot it tighter and then you kind of, like, work with post and see what they can do.
Fix it in post.
Well, no, not fix it in post. Is like, what can you shoot a plate of and then take things out? Because, like, in California, we were trying to shoot it where we were in, like, some of the flyover states, and I was like, you know, there's palm trees everywhere, right? I'm like, so if you shoot a plate, then you can, like, take those out.
Gotcha.
So that's really what it comes down to. I would think, I've never been to Boston myself either. It's actually a goal. I want to go when, you know, the fall leaves are changing and it's pretty. Everyone's like, don't. They're like, don't come when it's winter time. I'm like, I know. I keep hearing that.
Yeah, please come. I'd be happy to show you around.
That would be amazing.
It's a really great place in warmer weather.
Yeah.
Like, on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard it's beautiful, and, like, when I think of Boston, I think, you know, like, period pieces and, like, being able to really throw back, you know, because you have that you know, that architecture and, you know, like,
and just a lot of rich history as well.
Yeah, and that's what I think would be, like, a really nice play off of that, is, like, depending on what your resources are and what you have, you know, available, like, what you have access to and who's available to, like, help you with that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm just curious because, like, I know that you directed your film. Were you also a writer? Were you a part of it? Because I know that you said that you were a part of the film and you're a filmmaker. So I'm just kind of curious, are you hyphenated?
Tell us about Hyphen, your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great segue because, Hyphen is kind of like it's a part of it's like a love letter to growing up in Boston, especially as like an artist and as a first-generation child of immigrants, and because there's a big, significant immigrant population here, and Boston loves its arts, and what else? Being Latina, and just going through like a coming of age story. So it's like my relationship with having grown up in this city, and what it's all about, and what's happening in a lot of these like little small apartments, and what kind of stories have been developing as time passes by. And this is my personal story, and it's within that, it's not just mine, but it's also like different people's, and it's been great to just kind of collect and be an archivist of different populations that live around here and are trying to find their place in such a city.
That sounds amazing. Like, I mean, just even thinking and, knowing a little piece of that is just, visually I'd love to, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we saw clips of it from what you shared, and hang on one sec. I apologize. I'm trying to get the website here. Yeah, sorry, what was the website again? I know it's hyphen movie.
It's hyphenmovie.com.
That's what it was. Sorry. This was like my,
no worries.
Hyphenmovie.com.
A little bit of that Boston accent came out right there.
How's the movie doing festival wise? What are your plans with it?
Good.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Thank you. So right now, basically, I'm coming up in the 1 year anniversary of having shot this literally at this time last year.
Wow.
Last year at this exact time, I had just finished crowdfunding money for it, and I was already in the works of heading over to Iceland to film the ending. So at this time last year, I was like, oh man, we're doing this. This film is gonna get made, and it's happening, and we're headed off to Iceland, and there's no turning back with my cinematographer and my producer, and shooting it into January and things like of the nature. So I'm just kind of like reflecting as the year is ending on how far this film has come. We shot it for 13 days in Iceland, specifically the ending.
Yeah.
And 75% of the film is shot in Boston. And and then we were in post-production for 3 months and trying to make it on time to finish for my thesis film at Emerson College. Mm-hmm. And taking a break was kind of necessary, and just kind of for me too.
Right.
And seeing it with a fresh pair of eyes as well was really important. And then I started the film festival run, and so far it's been really good. I've shot I received an award for it for the Boston Latino 30 Under 30 because of the work that I ended up doing for the film. And then, literally after the award show, I was headed off to LA for the world premiere.
Nice.
So it was at the Central American International Film Festival at UCLA.
Nice.
So that was oh my God, running back and forth. And then 2 weeks later, I had to go to New York and show it off at the New Filmmakers New York series. So yeah, it was it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, and I'm still hearing back from different film festivals, but so far that's where I'm at.
No, that's wonderful. I mean, that's the whole point of it, is just to get your message across, so that way other people can, be moved by it or inspired by it, or just relate.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I bet you sometimes get surprised, because I know it's like what you said, it was based off of growing up in Boston. I'm sure, do you get surprised when other people in other states watch it and are like, this is relatable to me in some ways or shapes or form? Have you come across that in any way?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So I've did like 2 private screenings here in Boston. So one was for the thesis show, and it was my professors and family and the people that worked on the film. And then we had such a like big crowdfunding group of people that supported us and backed us up. So I was like, okay, there's a ton of people that didn't see it in Boston, so I'm going to make like a night of it where we had like music, we invited the community, we had like food, and, you know, we had 2 different youth performers at a performance center here to be able to kind of, with their music, they did like songs about like growing up here and things like that. And then so I had like a foundation, a very homey foundation of close ones, people that I went to middle school with, my like high school teachers, like childhood friends, like people that lived like across the street from me, come see the film. And it was a very like community oriented film. And then it was so interesting when I headed off to LA. I'd never been to LA before. And this was last month, and it was great because it was a very specific audience. It was Central American audience members, people who had like Central American parents or were from Central America. And we had like really interesting conversations about what it means to be Central American or Latino American in the U.S. And so it was very specifically like audiences that were responding to the film, and I was like, yes, you get it, like, you know, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And people like thanking me for making this kind of film, because we don't really have these kind of foundations and stories. Usually it's like, you know, stories related to like Mexico and like Brazil and Argentina, but for Central America there's not really a film market, but it's like definitely it's coming. So I'm so happy to be kind of part of that movement that's like, okay, it's not just Central America, but it's like Central Americans in the U.S., and it's not really like just doc-worthy subjects. It's also like just us living like and existing and having like relationship issues and having like issues with our parents and things like that. So that's kind of what my focus is on, this that audience that I was able to connect in a different way.
No, that's wonderful.
I think that's such a beautiful thing too, to just to tie that in, because that's what the film is about. But I feel like also, you know, we've had this loss of community. And I feel like if you as an artist can connect with other artists, but then also bring in, like what you said, those middle school friends and teachers and that support structure, I mean, it's just so relatable. It's such, I know this gets all mushy because Alexa makes fun of me all the time. And like, but it's true, you know, like if we can stretch out, you know, our own humanity to other people and they don't feel like they're the only ones, then it just grows and it blossoms into something beautiful, like with what you have with this film. So I mean, I'm like super hyped already just to kind of like want to see it, you know. Like, how long are you going to, you said I think it's been about a year since it's been made, but how long has it been in the festival run?
It literally just got in, I think it's been about 2-3 months, so this is very fresh.
Okay.
And I will be planning on continuing it. We're going to continue going all the way until probably end of next summer.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so then we're hoping that, you know, someone picks it up at one of these festivals and it, you know, gets distribution. And,
Absolutely.
You know, I think this is something that a lot of people across the demographics will want to be able to like participate in want to watch, period.
And I think you said it perfectly. It is important to have more representation of Central America. You're absolutely right. I don't see as much as we should. And I think it's important, especially within the arts, because it does exist. We just don't know it does, you know. So I think it's outstanding that you did this, and that a lot of people praise you for that, because you deserve that. You know, it's one of the things, like being from Peru in South America. There are some films that come from there, and they do make it. You know what I mean? Like, so. I can't say like I can't wait to do something and make my country proud, because there's a little bit of a difference. I think that with what you've done, you're absolutely right. There isn't as much from Central America, you know. So keep at it. Keep doing what you're doing. We got to see more of that for sure.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I've just have seen like different media that's just been coming up recently, that it's like regular people they just happen to be a different color, a different race, a different background or sexuality or gender or anything of nature. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of navigating life and, working through all these issues and trying to make money or trying to, travel the world. And the issues of race are never overtly addressed, right. But it's like, oh, it's a person of color or anything like that. It just is, and that's kind of my main thing that I wanted to do in the film. It's yes, they all happen to be, of this specific race, but they're still kind of dealing with different issues that, young 20-something-year-olds are dealing with, or women are dealing with, or, children, that their parents are forcing or just enforcing do really good and be the best you can always be. So, and it's kind of the film started off as just, okay, I got to make this film to graduate and, okay, time to move on. But when I started, researching, statistics and researching, media and, our different voices, women and people of color's voices in media, I started taking into the role of, as activist as well. And I don't really consider myself so, at the forefront of marches and, putting up posters everywhere or anything like that. I've always just kind of been I'll let my art speak for what I feel or what others feel. And, just kind of, advertising it and putting my crew, who's 50% people of color, 50% women, in those roles as camera operators and, being sound mixers and editor, having their presence be visible online, and also seeing pictures and videos of me directing and, being at everybody, in the post-production suites, just kind of showing off that, we exist in front of the camera, and that's kind of what this film is also about, but it's also the crew that's right behind the camera as well, and who's all, doing what they need to do to make this film be, as best as it can be.
So with that being said, do you have anything on your slate for this upcoming year other than, just promoting and working the festival?
Yeah, so right now I am, working on that, it's been, my main priority, and just kind of continuing to, talk about it and do screenings. And I've been invited to a couple of, to do some screenings in schools and things like that. I am thinking, I'm already, starting to think about the next story, and little ideas will, come in and come out. I now wanted, so this film is it's based on 4 different people, mm-hmm. That play one person, but I think that the next film I'm going to make it about just one person kind of existing in life and trying to find their way around it. I do have some blurbs of scripts that are written out, but yeah, hopefully by 2020, when I spend this whole year to kind of 2019 to write out the script and edit it and feel good about it and get that crew back up again. Hopefully I can start production in 2020, fingers crossed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
for
put
sure.
those vibes out for sure.
I feel like it would be, I don't think it would be an issue because I don't mean to say like it's non-issue because there's always going to be like hiccups and bumps here and there. But I mean, I think with this experience that you have with Hyphen, you've proven yourself as a filmmaker, as an artist, and I'm pretty sure you've established some great connections. So I think going on to the next one, you'll be more prepared. Not that you weren't with this one, but you get what I'm saying? Like you'll take the good and the bad and learn from that and be able to do the next one with learning from what you did. I can't even talk right now.
Yeah.
And
creating like I agree. Like just, like I've built up this like a, group in Boston, from one knowing me since I was very little, and, always supporting all of the little like 5-minute short films I've made for like about 8 or 9 years now. And now it's like I've made something that's really kind of taken off and it's tangible and it's like the biggest crew, the biggest cast I've ever, backed me up on this, and the biggest amount of like actual donors and crowdfunders and people that I've never even met before just were so interested and invested in the story. And I think that it would be of disservice if I did not, think about the next one, like, okay, like we have the momentum going and now it's definitely time to, get people excited for the next one. And, and it'll be great and a little sad when I have to kind of put Hyphen to rest. But that's still like ways away. Right now it's like I've done so much with the film already for like 2 years. It took me like a year to write the script and a year for production and post-production. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, oh my God, okay, like, woof, like this is, like Hyphen is all set now, but it's like, nope, there's still like a ton of people who haven't seen it yet. So, like that's what I'm most looking forward to, and it's so exciting.
So to wind it back a bit, especially because listeners always want to know, just a breakdown kind of your journey through that, like the highs and the lows of like, from you said you took about a year to write the script, edit it till you were comfortable with it, to actual production and finding, your people on set, your cinematographer to capture the look and the feel, your producer to help you break everything down, because as a director, I want to try to give our listeners a little more detail of like your specific journey of this particular film.
Yeah, so I took a year to write it, and I was in workshop classes, so people would give me feedback. It was hard in the aspect of I had to think about like a timeline of my life. So just kind of sit down and think about, okay, what is the most vivid memories that stand out to you, whether good or bad? And, what are some hardships? What are some lessons you learned in the way? And it was like, okay, great, I have a timeline. Can I show this to people? Like, am I comfortable enough showing to people some kind of more like things that people have said to me, or I've said or done, or they've, really personal stuff. And I grappled with that. That was like the hardest thing.
Yeah.
But then I was like, if I don't like show this stuff, then it's just gonna exist in the middle of nowhere. And it's important that, as filmmakers, we do tell the most interesting and most difficult stories, because that's what people want to know, especially if they're going through tough times or if they don't really know where or who they are. Knowing that, there are people that are out there in the world, no matter where they're from, what they look like, what they believe in, that they're also kind of just trying to figure out this thing called life.
Yeah.
And so after that, like, I started getting noticed by like classmates and people that I know from afar, who are like, can I do makeup for your film? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And my producer came on board after being in class with me, and him being like, do you need a producer? And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of was thinking of doing this by myself. And he was just like, I don't think it's going to be a little difficult. And he was like, I'm willing to help. And,
that's awesome.
I asked him, like, what stood you out to the story? And, he was like, even though I don't identify as Latina or as a woman, but I have been in those places before,
right? No.
Where I don't know what I'm doing with myself, and I don't know, or maybe like, in a relationship, I don't know how to best support, or this is exactly how I feel when I travel out by myself, and and then people started coming in and things like that. Like, I had my editor ready to go right before we even started post-production, because she was like, this looks exciting. Like, you guys are like starting something really cool, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you need an editor? I'm like, yeah, I do. So, so people just started like coming in, and it was wonderful. And same goes for casting as well, where like I worked with young people, like, like a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I just asked them, like, have you ever felt this way? Have you ever been in this character's shoes? And high schooler especially, like, such a malleable age, was like, yeah. I'm kind of going through this right now, and I don't really know how to like do it all.
Right.
And I'd be like, just feel it, just feel what this character is, and working with them. And so that was wonderful, working with that cast. It was like one of the best casts I've ever had the privilege of working with. And then, shooting was great. It was like straight on. And, there were times where I'd be like, oh, this is like really tiring. Just like, there's a lot of people, a lot of moving pieces. Everybody wants to know what my final answer is. And sometimes I'd be like, okay with being like, I don't actually know. But being that transparent was really good, because people would be like, okay, this is also not just her project, but it's our project. Mm-hmm. How do we, put our best foot forward? And then also, like, me being a little more relatable and knowing that she's kind of like, directing us and things like that, but she's also kind of working out on this, seeing her life, like directing her life right in front of us, and kind of being like, helping me with that, because I'm like playing like a dual role as the writer and the director on there.
I think that's amazing. So what about your like logistic wise, because obviously you have a lot of production value. You went to another country, and like you said, 75% was filmed in Boston. How did you and your producer and cinematographer break all that down?
Yeah, so my cinematographer is actually from Atlanta, but he did go to Emerson, and I just loved his film as well. His was about what it feels like to be Indian and like Indian American, South African Canadian, and just and shot in like 3 different locations of and so like I saw the visuals and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want. And so we were able to talk about scheduling and things like that, and during the summer, and we'd all just Skype together. And so a lot of that pre-production was like 3 of us hashing it out and being like, okay, like, we have you for this amount of time. And so time was really of the essence, because it was like, we can't afford a day that everything goes terrible, because then I lose him, and then we have no idea what we're going to do. And so it was a great bonding experience, because we actually shot the ending first, and it was, because of flight, savings and things like that.
Of course.
And being okay with not shooting things chronologically was something that I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, this is weird, shooting the ending first, and then the next time we all like combine and meet in Boston will be to shoot the beginning. So we went to Iceland, and like, it was insane, because there'd be like blizzards and things like that. And I was the actress, or the last actress for the Hyphen shoot. So I had to physically put myself through weather, terrain, and acting and directing and all of that stuff.
Wow.
To be able to like really challenge myself into feeling this role and like feeling what I've learned or what the character has learned throughout the time of the film. And so it was a great bonding experience for us to be able to know how each of us work and how we all kind of do things on a day-to-day basis. And then we shot the first act when we came back after the holidays, and like immediately after shooting the first act, I was like, guys, like I don't see the connection here between the first act and the last act. Like this looks such a different film, and it was like kind of like freaking me out a little bit because I was like, I don't know where the connection is. This is so weird. I have the beginning of the film and the ending of the film.
Yeah.
So then it was great because then afterwards, you know, we shot the next couple of acts, and then I was like, okay, I see it now. Like,
right.
I see the connection now,
Yeah.
and it makes sense. And going into the editing, it was a little painful getting rid of some stuff that I was like, no, this is awesome. Look at this really pretty shot in Iceland. My editor would be like, Maria, we have to. I'm so sorry.
It's a story. It has to be story-driven. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it is painful. But you know what? You can also have a director's cut. You know, it just depends.
Yes.
Honestly, you know, or you can use it for your reel. Like those are the things that, you know, you can still piece a little something, or it can be part of the trailer or the poster. So you have infinite possibilities to utilize all that footage, and you know, like definitely understand you in that process, because you're like, oh, that one didn't make the cut, and you're just like, I really want that piece. So.
Yeah, especially when you think about like just the time, the effort.
Yes.
Like, so I do have a director's cut. It's only about like 2 minutes longer than the film festival cut, but there's always parts of me that I'm just like, like this would have been so great. But that's the challenges of making a short, where like you don't have enough material for it to be a feature or a cohesive feature if you do have enough material, but and also like not sacrificing so much of the story that it's over before people can really get invested in it.
Correct.
So that was like probably the biggest challenge I had in the like, I wish this was a feature, but at the same time, like I don't have the script for it, and can it also just be glimpses of memories, because that's just how kind of life is, where you don't remember, like memory is such a big thing in the film, like, you know, like memories is kind of, you just remember like the most significant parts. You don't remember exactly how the day went and from start to finish. So yeah,
it's always
it
a
works,
little bit,
I suppose.
Yeah, and it's always a little altered too, because your memory doesn't always serve you right.
Right, you remember mostly what you want to remember.
Yeah, especially when you're a young child, you're just like, wait, I don't remember that. Or you remember something being so enormous, and you're just like, oh, it's regular size. But yeah, I mean, I know that we'll probably. I mean, I saw that on our IG that it has the IG for the film. But is there a way that people can find you on social media?
Yeah, so people are welcome to visit the site, where I will be posting, always updating like the new screenings and any like news. So it's hyphenmovie.com, and on Instagram, like I'm always posting like any interesting tidbits of new things that are happening on with my crew and myself, which is instagram.com/hyphenfilm. And Facebook, of course, is facebook.com/hyphenmovie. So yeah, so people are welcome to contact me through there and see what we're up to, and I'll also post sometimes of like what I'm up to as well. So, and yeah, just kind of keep an eye on that.
When we first started this conversation, you mentioned how you started vlogging, and that was before YouTube. Do you still have those videos? Do you ever watch them and like go back and say, wow, I can't believe I said that, or that's so relatable now? I always wonder about that. Like, so do you watch your vlogs now, the ones that you had back then?
Yeah, so that was also really helpful material. Like, I always tell people to just save everything. Like, save old diaries sometimes if you really want to, or save old pictures or videos or any writings, because you never know what kind of work can come out of that. I did look at all of that stuff, like, so many years later, of 15-year-old me complaining about, like, a family trip or whatever, and how boring it was, and, like, oh, it's so hot. So it was great because it helped me write, like, more specifically about the characters and, like, how a teenage self was like me, and also talking with my mom. I'm like, oh, you know, like, how was I when I was a little girl and things like that. And, you know, and then also, like, people, you know, those, like, people that I stayed in contact with, or even my friends. I'm like, what kind of version of me do you see me as? And, like, you know, having those conversations. So a lot of the drawings, and I do also draw on paint and do installation-based art as well, with projectors and live video DJing.
Wow, okay.
All my work, of course, is available at mariaservellón.com. But yeah, so a lot of my work really deals with that, of just influences of memory and dreams and things related to culture and history and yeah, just kind of existing in space. So yeah, so I do enjoy looking back at old stuff, and even though I'm not in the same mindset at that time, but it's nice to see how I've changed or how I've stayed the same, and how my characters can grow from that.
That's so great. That's why I always wonder, because I don't know if I can find any of the stuff I used to film when I was younger. If I do, I don't even know if it's viewable, because some of the cassettes or the tapes that I have got warped, and I would have to, like, pay to see if it's even salvageable, because I know, like, it is. It just, I know it's going to be costly.
Yeah.
So that's why I ask. You know, it's really great to have that, and then to take care of it is more important. I obviously didn't, because I didn't think anything of it, and now I wish I had.
Yeah.
Your parents are obviously super supportive, and what do they think of the film, of the project?
So I saw with my mom in the theater in the premiere. Like, she saw the struggles. I went through the whole thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I need a hug. And just, like, being, like, emotionally, just, like, and physically, it was just so demanding. Like, it's not, you know, I'm shooting, like, a horror film, and, you know, like, we're shooting a comedy. It was just
right.
Like, I'm shooting my life, and this is a big thing for me, because I'm generally, like, just somebody who's some more on the private side, I suppose, but also, like, you know, I'm like, I have a duty. So that was kind of my motivator of going in. And so she had just, you know, met my cast and crew. She fed them, and I'd be like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, when I purposely didn't show her the film while I was doing edits. She did want to see it, and I was like, no, I can't. You'll just see it when you see it. And she saw it, and she just started to cry right next to me, because, like, towards the ending, when the character is out there by herself living, I think that kind of maybe resonated with her, and just kind of, I sensed that pride that she has in me, and all that I've been through, and all that I've worked hard for, and just her being that third party who's not directly involved with the film, but still, you know, feeding the cast and crew, giving me emergency hugs, and you know, seeing how demanding our craft is, and our passion, and I think it was really inspirational, and you know, it was good. So yeah, I definitely have had so much support, and people feel good about the film, and some people haven't seen it yet, but yeah, my intent is to be able to get this film to be seen as by whoever needs to see it at their moment in their life.
That's awesome. Yeah, moms are the best. I mean, I feel you. I mean, Alexa's parents, like, on one of our projects, they, like, catered it and, like, took care of everything, and, like, my mom was just there just to support. She didn't know what was going on. And now, like 5 years later, she's just like, honey, what time do you wrap? And I'm like, oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, definitely having that support is it's vital. It's important.
Yes.
You know, especially when you need the emergency hugs, especially when you need those
or
hugs.
You're just not sure sometimes, and you just need like that little confidence booster. It's always funny because it doesn't matter how old you are. You'll always go back to your parents because that's your heart, you know? It's
and I used my mom as like, you know, an inspiration for the mother figure in the film, who's just such a like a hard worker and, you know, is, you know, not really sure herself where she's going with life besides being just a mom, but she takes pride in being a mother and letting her daughter do whatever it is she needs to do that, you know, makes her happy, and supporting her in that. And that character was based on my own mom and the strength that she, you know, demonstrated in making sure that I went to ballet classes and I went to taekwondo classes and I was always actively doing stuff. And so that was all that I needed, really. So it's very, you know, it's a good feeling.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. So we're going to be wrapping the show up right now. You shared with us where they can find it's hyphen-movie.com, correct? Hyphen-movie.com.
Hyphen-movie.com.
And on Instagram, it's _film at _film.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you said you have your own website. What was the website again for you?
It's Maria Servellón, SERVELLON.com. And there I post all my short films and what I'm up to in my installation-based art and my photography. And so, yeah, I'm always active on there.
Awesome. So thank you for being a guest on Female Filmmakers Fuse podcast. I hope to see Hyphen, the movie, at our 3rd annual Female Filmmakers Fuse Festival, which is will take place, I think, October, November 2019.
The end of October, beginning of November.
So we'll discuss that later and see how maybe Hyphen can be a part of that.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
You know, there you go. So thank you, Maria. We hope to see more of you and of your films, of course, and your art.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking about the work that we all do and just what's wonderful about it. And yeah, thank you so much as well for having me.
Absolutely. So everyone, Robin, thanks again for hosting with me.
Have a great week.
Have a happy Sunday.
Take care, Maria.
Thanks, Kyle.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.